Hi. Anyways, I'd like to talk with everybody out there. This is the cap to keep me warm. It's so cold, and we're expecting a rainstorm out here in Los Angeles. So, um, there are, um, that's kind of fun to put the pin behind my ear like I'm really important. This is my Jim Carrey impersonation. Okay, so okay. Now, um, everybody's always intrigued by my work because of celebrity and the the knocking that you have to do on people's door in order to get some comfort, get some love, get some confidence, and find who your self-identity is, and then not being terrified and not being apprehensive, and learning to settle your mind. Uh, Krishnamurti, he is a guru, not quite a Swamiji, more like a guru from India. This is what he says. I'm going to bring it out and then we can go ahead into our discussion. Just a second. Okay, so the thing that we're kind of covering is that this chair needs to be repainted. I'm going to go ahead and get my personal assistant to do that, but we're dealing with their family issues that they have going on in their personal life. So, all right. So Krishnamurti, this is him, Krishnamurti, and he says, "Think on these things." And one of the strategies that he uses in teaching, you don't have to call it a strategy, you can call it a method or an approach for one's learning modality, such as a brick and mortar, like on campus in a physical classroom versus online, a virtual electronic campus, online schooling. So there's different types of learning modality when you're working with technology. He worked more with cluster groups and getting men and women together that were interested in the philosophical teachings of the Hindu tradition that penetrates through all superficiality and wealth, really. So in Krishnamurti's observation, he was asked, why are people that have money and are rich always asked to speak at graduations and to go to academic functions in the institutional world? And so Krishnamurti answered and said, well, institutions depend on the rich because money can be maneuvered and it can create what I would want to see as social programs and community organizing. That's just kind of me, because I have this love for the greatest thing of intentional community development and ethical welcoming collective consciousness. And that's why through that type of thinking that I'm giving to you, we've created a social alchemy project, because people need to be nourished because they're disappearing and they're going toward, I call it the parliament of drugs, the kingdom of substance abuse, in order to find themselves some relief. And next to nutrition, drinking turmeric tea out of my Harvard mug. We see that people give money to institutions because the institutions further causes. Okay. Oh, this is my most recent. I go between the academics and scholarship and the arts. This is one of my head dresses. I want to show it to you. See how gorgeous that is? It's really gorgeous. So I need to do some more gluing on it and add some pink. But once it's complete, it's going to be pretty sensational. Let me give you a close-up. See, earrings are falling out of it because I'm not done. Oops. See, this is the actual headdress. Isn't that gorgeous? It was very gorgeous. So this is in one of the shows. And the back is a whole different ball game. But Krishnamurti was asked, why do wealthy people, give to institutions and things like that? And why are they the ones that are asked, to do all this privilege and everything? Well, they asked me why I love costume jewelry, because it's cheap and white trash. And it's very Dolly Parton, isn't it? So this is, I'm just doing all these backward things right now that look so extraordinary to who I am. This might be the first time you've even come on to discover who I am. And I am an American research social scientist with a psychological humanistic point of view to help gay men. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know if I'm going to use it for the costume. It seems too cheap. This is costume jewelry from China. But in this parliament of drugs and trying to elevate the mind like drugs have done for our artists and our musicians for many years, the seed of corruption is when we start thinking that we want to be the best like so-and-so. When you are in the position of seeing that you're not the best because you don't have the wealth, you don't have the show, you don't have the headdress, the celebrity, and you don't have the academic institutions or the medical institutions or scientific laboratory observant people in the world of medicine going to you for your expertise. How do you create an opportunity for yourself with all the apprehension to be a style icon, to be a trend setter or a trend maker, like people may call me, or somewhat avant-garde, and telling the secrets of who you are through your art and through your expression. And there's nothing disabling about you other than the society around you that does not give you enough love to be cultivated. So in asking why and for what purpose is it for the rich in institutions when you and them both will do drugs regardless of status markers and socioeconomic ladder, the seed of corruption is when you have assumed you're lesser than, okay? Now, I'm not talking about lesser than the evils. I'm not talking about your president candidates and who's the lesser of the evils. I'm just talking lesser than value, lesser than worth, to have parents that love you, but to sit back instead and criticize yourself and to judge yourself. Now, this thing is not going to create any opportunity. So, in a society that needs to come into its own, we have media and we have messages that are planting in us as empty, sorrowful, dull people that are types of psychological beggars, if you will, trying to find something that can sustain us in normal things that are ugly about us. It's the silence of your mind that creates the worship of your great, seated, prominent, divine self. And a society without love is like a land without rivers. There's no opportunities. There's no handouts. There's no freebies. There's only the protocol of what? Get up in the morning and be corrupt and be angry about a world that you can't have any love with and for because it's filled with hideous people who live in it. This is what Krishnamurti discusses. Now, in girly boys and sissies that come to me and acknowledge that they have talents and people have used their talents for selfish gain, I want men to say, okay, and sex has been used as a tool because we're all sexual beings. And we have found ourselves having to rethink our thoughts on the rich and how we perceive the rich. Now, whenever there's a natural disaster or something happens, I find that there is an awakening in people of their own anger. And they won't acknowledge the anger, but they're sure awakened that they're angry. And they're triggered, and they say things like, well, so-and-so has home insurance, so they can just rebuild. And they're the rich, Jewish, ugly people in Hollywood, and they deserve to go to hell. This type of thinking is not marvelous. Although I understand sin and your moral compass, but we are in an era that teaches the miracles of the smartphone and a tech international community, global platform for you to get any feeling that you want, to feel protected, to have safe groups that you join online. And in this era, we do not teach the miracles of Jesus Christ. So, as far as opportunities in believing in yourself and expressing something within yourself, you're torn between pouring your heart out as a passionate person versus being selfish and hoarding and greedy and being corrupt and comparing yourself. Now, all these moving parts to your psyche gives you an opportunity to do what's fair. Okay, so when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm not where I need to be, and I'm in the loser end of the deal, so I feel like a loser and I hate my life. When you make the effort to contact people in that day and to not isolate yourself, you are promoting education. You are promoting a dialogue, a talk between them over there and you. And when you share this, it is fair. It liberates the mind and it creates what we call social justice education, because you're now able to make your dreams come true because you believe in yourself. And you don't have to, what I have always called, chase the black dragon's red tail. Okay, that means chasing after the moving wind, because there's money and there's things that flaunt and flirt and stand and model and masturbate your ego and the money hard-ons. I'm as educated as you as sex being used as a tool and affecting our sexual humanities, because sex is humane. And when you find your self-identity and you gain self-confidence as girly boys and sissies and acknowledging the talent that has been used, you then can start making what? Correct business decisions that have to do with what? For men only. And you can produce your show, you can do your work in the entertainment industry. Oh, I love this. I just love this color. It just pops so much, doesn't it? It's pop. Pink and orange. It's just, they're wonderful colors. So, something is, sorry, it's like ADD. So, years ago, I was producing my show. This is the Grand Marquis. And the show is called L'Orivinte, one-man showcase starring Tyler Lord Hamilton. This is the look. Okay. And when, let me put this back in here, and when I did this, when I did this, I contacted the Audrey Hepburn's Children Fund Foundation in Santa Monica, Los Angeles, and I spoke to them. And they said, yes, Sean Hepburn, Audrey Hepburn's son, will be more than happy to attend the show, as I'm going to give a certain proceeds of the donation that's given to me for the support and to support Sean Hepburn's mother's legacy, Audrey Hepburn's legacy to make a safe world for children through UNICEF or what have you. Now, when I did that, I got sidetracked, and I found substance abuse, and I found Lucifer had a really muscular body, and he made all my dreams come true, and he shot semen up my rear end with fire. And thank God I'm not HIV pos, which is HIV positive. So let me go ahead and wipe this so when I'm drinking, you don't see the pink lipstick that I had on this side, like that lipstick. Let's clean the lipstick. It's the obsessive compulsive in all of us. So, all that being stated, in the, oh, isn't this cute? Because, you know, Donald J. Trump said that all black people from Haiti have AIDS. So I don't know why an LGBT or gay male society would not be angry at that. I wonder what he says about gay people or transgender people that he throws out of the military. Do they have AIDS too? He calls Africa and Haiti and all these black people's countries shitholes. So this is what came out. Make America shithole again. It's a toilet. It's cute. Isn't that adorable? And there's the author, or the artist. Pardon me. So, I'm going on and on and on about the thinking of being rich. Okay, now, it's 2018. Probably about maybe 9 or 10 years ago, there was this thing kind of roaming around. This is on the West, in the American civilization. So if you're not American, you know, you don't know this, and you're not in California, you don't know this. But there was this thing going around saying, you know, well, this has been going on for decades, but, you know, fake it till you make it, and believe that you're rich, and laws of attraction, and what you have in your mind, you draw that into yourself. So, as Social Alchemy Project, we don't have to think that we're rich. We don't have to make the effort of thinking that we're rich. We ought to make the effort if we haven't created new pathways in the brain for that cognition. So in the cross-dressing, and in the friendships, and dressing up, and having no place to go, you know, and wanting a Renaissance club, you know, in your town, like they have in, you know, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and you want to condition men who have sex with men to respect other men because they bring out this feminine side. And when you have gay militant activists and girly boys and sissies and transvestites and gay men and LGBT working and talking about corruption and wealth and thought and artistic ability and finding identity, you know, we need politicians to stand with us in high heels against sexual assault, against the deliberated and unelevated intended behaviors of men evil and women whores and men whores wrecking families and ruining their children. We want to be pretty, and we want to not suffer in staying dressed up and keeping a sense of class. The society of the self is a second-class society, because as a society that, though it's big on fitness and being a gym rat in Gold's Gym and, you know, General Nutrition Center, GNC products, and all of this, we also still have a vulgarity, and we're not using it in comedy, okay? You know, Joan Rivers says a comedian never has to apologize, and I've said that before. But men are rich. I'm speaking to men only, I'm not speaking to women. I'm speaking to girly boys and sissies. And in a self-driven society of the second self and the first self, that means the higher self and then the second self, the less higher. People want to party. They want to have a good time. And they practice gratitude based on them feeling good. And that's not rich in soul. We have to be willing to be right, not be willing to be wrong in the Me Too movement led by women and facilitated by women. We have to be willing to be right as men in the social arts and the comedic relief and the not judging ourselves and the peculiar humanist, all-encompassing religious calling even, you know, for social justice, for healing of our politicians, for the creator of what has been called rich and not rich, for those people that are greeting others because of things that they can show others to show that they are on top of the world. Thinking like Christ does not involve that. It involves a poverty, a third world country, because Jesus was poor. Jesus was broke. So I want people to see that in his lovingness, he was able to transcend that for men. And I think that when we include Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, Zoroastrian, pagans, Satanists, occultists, Christians, Mormons, atheists into a religious concept, we have a New World Christ Church. But all that, the metaphysical Jesus in us and the human Jesus in us can come out through come as you are, no perfect people allowed. And that is going to be what opens people to knowing that they don't have to be anything more than what they already are. That is such a cool feeling. And you can get by in a poor society by learning how to create your own alchemy, how to create your own alchemist. Everything in a large way is very disconnected from ourselves, but at the same time, everything is very connected to us, and nothing is separatist. But in the isolation and the prejudices and money and a socioeconomic ladder and people that get education or can't get education, mental illness versus those that are not mentally ill, it is a society that is going to tether you. It's going to clearly break you down because of the collective will, in this case, to what? Be the best. And when you have to be the best and you have to be competitive, this is the seat of corruption. I really want people to take all their desires that they have with people and everything that they think is mediocre, and they think that they're better than, and to have it in the happiness element of your home, and bring in guests and visitors that you would normally not pursue for a little feeling of good emotion for them, integrates you to being rich and to obviously being secure and being safe in a society that can now love. No matter the friction, the conflict, the disturbance, the different governments that are worrying you, the innocent question is, why are you not believing that you are great? And I'm not talking about the image of God. I'm not talking being a Bible thumper and promoting a junior high Jesus, and the burning of the bush and the Ten Commandments, Noah's Ark, and spreading of the sea and Jesus healing the blind. I'm just speaking from a very psychological and humanistic place. And I really hope that this little talk and bringing in all the different moving components, like I'm saying, to you, lets you know that there's nothing that you can do to earn love. You are loved just the way you are. I really want people to really not feel the overwhelming regret of our pasts, but to not only walk in the forgiveness, it's just kind of walk in the way of like going forwards the best you can and doing and keep your dreams in your heart, please. And may you always have serenity in that you can let go of corruption and greed. It's an anti-corruption human greed disabler social alchemy project, because that's what the alchemists basically uproots, is all that greed and that corruption. So this is, I guess, a little bit more of social alchemy project access management type of 101 type of thing. So tutorial of what I'm about and what I'm helping men become about. Well, they're already about it. I'm just saying, hey, there's a groupie over here and it's social alchemy project. I love you all. I would die for you all, and I would leave you the best piece that I could possibly give that's not forfeited and that's not a counterfeit. I would do everything I can for your health. Blessings to you.